To get the perfect haircut, you need a few things. You need to know your face shape, you need to know your hair type, and you need to know what will look good for both. If you're anything like me, the story typically goes like this. You pick out a photo of a haircut that you really like, you show the barber, and they completely cook you and it looks nothing like the photo. And I'll tell you right now, even though it sucks, you can't blame the barber for this. It's your fault. The same way it was my fault in the past, and the same reason that we're both here together and I'm teaching you how to get the best haircut for your face. With this being said, this video is going to be very interactive because I'm going to be telling you exactly what to do to get the perfect haircut, and first you're going to have to go look in the mirror. Now, the reason I need you to go to the mirror is to figure out your hair type and your face shape. First, we're going to go into the face shape, and we're going to be looking at the jaw, mid-face, and forehead. Firstly, we're going to look at your jaw. So if your jaw is wider than your mid-face and your forehead, you probably have a more square or rectangular face shape. After looking at your jaw, you want to look at the mid-section of your face. If this is the widest part, you most likely have a diamond face shape. That being said, this is only going to be the case if you have a slightly more narrow jaw, because if your jaw is wider, you're going to have the rounded face shape. Round is typically where the middle of your face sticks out just as much as this bottom lower jaw area. So now what I need you to do is either go look in the mirror or maybe even the camera on your phone, it doesn't really matter, and determine which one of these face shapes you are closest to. And the reason I say closest to is because you're not just going to be one of these decisively for the most part. You could very easily be a mix of both, but just find the one that you are closest to, and that's going to help the most. Now, regardless of the face shape that you have, something that you can try is using AI. So there's a lot of apps on the App Store where you can essentially Photoshop a certain haircut on your face, and you're not actually Photoshopping it, it's just doing it for you. And this will give you somewhat of an accurate representation of what you look like. That being said, it might not generate the right hair types, it might do things differently than you would expect. So this is more so for a rough estimate of what you might look like, but do not take it at sole value. First, I want to go over the square / rectangle face shape. This is going to be pretty much anybody who has a more prominent jaw / wide jaw. And in my opinion, the best method is finding a celebrity that looks like you and replicating their haircut. One specific celebrity that comes to mind is Henry Cavill. He's known for having this square, insanely chiseled jaw, and he might be a good reference to look at. Someone else is going to be Tom Cruise. Now, the main difference between a square and a rectangular face shape is going to be the length of your head. So the idea of a haircut is to frame your face in the best way possible. So let's say you have that square, shorter head. You want something that elongates your face, and for this, I recommend getting a low taper fringe. This is that popular TikTok hairstyle that you see everywhere. Some people call this the fluffy hair, but the low taper is essentially a fade on the bottom portion of your head, and then you can essentially do whatever you want with the top. That doesn't really matter, but this gives that perfect contrast, making your jaw and cheekbones stand out very nicely. And the top of your head, you can add some texture and volume. For that, I specifically recommend using the Sympletic Sea Salt Spray. We're the #4 bestseller on Amazon right now. You just add a couple sprays, it gives your hair a ton of texture and volume. There's a ton of videos on it if you want to watch that. And you cannot forget to find the right hair products, because you'll notice a lot of times when you go to the barber, they'll add hair product in your hair. You'll look really good the day of your haircut, then right after you look horrible. Most of the time it's because you're just not using hair products. So if you want that beachy / wavy, fluffy, textured look, try Sympletic Salt Spray. It uses 5 all-natural ingredients, and it also might work well for the rectangular face shape. The haircut that I'm going to recommend is more medium length, and when I say that, what I mean is keeping the sides a little bit longer, maybe avoiding that taper. Because this face shape is longer, you don't want to elongate it even more. For this, I'd recommend a haircut like mine. I don't even know what my haircut is called. You can just call it the Dillon.latham. Maybe you could do it, take a 360 photo, I don't know, but keep the sides longer and it'll make your face look shorter. Now, a haircut that I really can't miss for the square and rectangular face shape is going to be a buzz cut. When you have a wide jaw, a buzz cut will look good on you for the most part, unless your hairline is cooked. So don't do this if your hairline is cooked, but a buzz cut is literally timeless. It'll look good on any single guy who wants to look mature, and especially if you have a good set of hair, it looks so good. The only issue is that if your face itself isn't that attractive, the buzz cut won't look good on you. So if you get a buzz cut and somebody's like, oh, you don't suit this, they're basically calling you ugly. So no diss to you, but if you look good, 100% get this. Moving on to the round face shape, something that I highly recommend is doing a textured tousled look. So this is basically going to be a medium length fringe where the sides are actually somewhat longer. And you absolutely need to use a texture powder for this. What a texture powder is going to do is do exactly what it says and add a ton of texture. What's so good about this haircut and this face shape going together is you can essentially sculpt your own face shape. So typically people with a rounded face might have a little bit more body fat, and you might want to hide that because you can make your cheekbones look a lot better. With this tousled look, what you can do is keep some hair on this part of your head right here and here, and by using the texture powder, it'll hold it there. Once again, from Sympletics. And what that's going to do is add a ton of angularity to your face. Opposite from the square face shape, do not get a buzz cut. If you have a rounded head, getting a buzz cut will make you look like an egg. It will cook you. You will not like it. I can say that with almost 100% certainty. That being said, another haircut I recommend is called the side swept haircut. This is essentially like a middle part, but it goes more to the side. And the reason I recommend this, once again, is because you can cover this little portion of your face, making your cheekbones look so much more prominent. With a round face shape, it's really all about just adding angularity angularity, and you would think that maybe having your hair shorter would help with that, but the way I see it is that you can really shape your face when it's longer, because when your hair is longer, you can make it look more square. You can really do anything with it. So I personally think with a round face shape, it's better to avoid shorter hairstyles. Or you could just pull a Leonardo DiCaprio and get a slick back. I mean, he has one of the rounded face shapes and it looks pretty good on him. Personally, I don't know if I would do that, but I mean, he seems to pull it off, so I guess you can make it work. Now we have the diamond face shape. One person to look at who has a very prominent diamond face shape is Timothée Chalamet. He was an actor in Dune. That's a movie where he starred, and something Timothée Chalamet is known for is just looking really good. When you have this face shape, it's essentially just the most attractive face shape in my opinion, just because there's so much angularity. With that being said, I think replicating what Timothée Chalamet did with his hair would look really good, which is just that long, flowy, beachy look. Once again, you can use the salt spray if you think that would help add that texture and volume like Timothée Chalamet. But with that being said, you want to have enough volume in your hair to sort of show off your cheekbones. Opposite to the rounded face shape, if you were to cover this part of your face, it would actually make your face look extremely narrow, because to have the diamond face shape, your face like at the jaw has to be somewhat narrow. So the reason Timothée Chalamet's hair works is because it's so curly / wavy that it just sticks off of his face, even though it is that long, really showing off those angular features. Now, from what I've seen, I don't think people look great with short haircuts when they have this face shape, typically because it almost looks too much. Like if you were to get a buzz cut and you have like massive sticking out cheekbones, I don't know, it just doesn't look as good usually. That being said, a haircut that would look good is anything where your hair is sort of off your face. The only issue is that when you have this face shape, your cheeks are so far out there that you need some sort of hair on the sides to, I guess, make it not look insane. Another actor who's notorious for having this face shape is Austin Butler, aka the actor in Elvis. He also acted in Dune. And if you look at him, his hair is typically slicked kind of back, and this is something that people with the diamond face shape can really pull off. It gives you that almost model-esque look because your cheekbones are just crazy. Do not be afraid to show your forehead with this. I think growing your hair out is just going to be the best case scenario in any regard though. You can get a haircut like a middle part. You could get the slick back. You could get the sort of Austin Butler hairstyle where it's slicked back on the sides and messy on the top. Honestly, I would just stay away from keeping it short, opposite to the square / rectangular face shape where that actually would look good. Now, nothing that I just said matters unless you know your hair type, so let me quickly go over them. 1A, 1B, and 1C hair types are going to be the more straight hair types. This is where your hair is extremely straight. Maybe there's a slight tad bit of wave. And when it comes to straight hair, I highly suggest against the longer hairstyles because it's just going to ultimately lay flat unless you use something like a texture powder or salt spray like I mentioned. Secondly, there's 2A, 2B, and 2C. This is the more wavy hairstyle. And by the way, this goes in ascending order from the thinnest hair to the thickest hair. This hair is a hairstyle where you could have it longer and it'll look good because it's not going to lay nearly as flat just because it's wavy. This is where you want to go for something medium to longer length, but short hair would still look good. Next, you have 3A, 3B, and 3C. This is the more curly hairstyles. This is where I recommend keeping it longer if you really want to show off those curls. In this case, you want to use some sort of moisturizing products for the most case. And then you have 4A, 4B, and 4C. This is that like coily hair type. This you can really do anything with. Just make sure you're moisturizing it so it looks good, especially as it grows out. The main reason that you need to know this is because let's say I told you that if you have a diamond face shape, you need to get your hair longer. Well, if you have straight hair, you simply just aren't going to look as good with long hair for the most part unless it's really thick. So make sure to prioritize your hair type first because that's what's going to matter most, and then compare about face shapes. With all this being said, you're going to be completely cooked if you choose your perfect hairstyle and then you end up going bald. So I highly recommend watching this video so that you don't go bald.